name is Pat Kociolek, and I'm the director of the Natural History Museum here at CU, and I'm also a professor in ecology and evolutionary biology. I study microscopic plants called diatoms, and I'm interested in the diversity of those organisms, their distributions, and their evolutionary histories. One study that I worked on, sort of on a global group of diatoms, was to look at the evolutionary history of that group by understanding their phylogenetic relationships, understanding their biogeographies, and understanding their morphologies. The second thing that I worked on is the dogma had always been that microbes are dispersed everywhere, that microbial life can just sort of get around everywhere, and they don't really have patterns to their distributions. And some work that I did on diatoms suggested otherwise, and that's sort of being borne out now. So like a lot of people, I think, I got sort of turned on to this group by a great teacher. A teacher who sort of opened this world to me, showed me that it was really fun, it was really interesting, there were so many questions to study with this group. And so when I walked into that room and found all of these different possibilities and that they were important ecologically, that sort of sealed the deal for me. So the diatoms are sort of the bellwethers of environmental change in aquatic ecosystems. So they're really the first watch of environmental change. They're really good indicators of pollution. They're really good indicators of other perturbations in our environment. So they're used a lot by EPA, USGS as indicators of water quality and environmental change. It's really tens of millions of dollars are spent every year in the country using diatoms as environmental and ecological monitors. And now there's a huge industry on biofuels, because when they photosynthesize, unlike the green things outside here, they don't make starch, they actually make oil, directly make oil. So there's a lot of interest in these organisms right now as hopefully a renewable and sustainable fuel source for the future. And diatoms have some really interesting, because of these aesthetic forms that they have, and that they're silica based. They can be everything from computer chips to creating ways to develop and to deliver medicine at a really fine scale, so at individual cancer cell type levels. People are talking about genetically modifying algae. So if you could figure out, say on the biofuel side, a species that's a really good producer, and you could start to tinker with its genome to have be a better producer of oil. What if that thing gets out, and what are the other ramifications? So it's actually a very serious area of endeavor right now, and you always worry about the controls of those kinds of things when things are genetically modified. So an idea would be if you could stimulate diatom productivity, they would start sucking up more CO2, decreasing greenhouse gas, and at the same time giving off oxygen. I think it's really important, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing, for people, professors and other researchers, to tell these kinds of stories and to tell them in a way that might captivate a broader audience. It's really these sort of, what are the broader impacts of our work, and as the director of the Natural History Museum, that's part of what I'm trying to do, is to get faculty involved in helping to communicate the results of their research and the impacts of their research to a broad and diverse audience. And I think that's a really important role that we can play, so that the general public understands what's going on. Why is it important to invest and talk about diatoms? If somebody said we're studying rock snot, they'd say, "Gosh, is that my tax dollar? Is that worth it?" But giving them some context and understanding the importance of these microbes, they can make more rational decisions about where their tax dollars go and things like that. So it's really important to, I think, encourage young people about science, and to do that to a very broad and diverse audience.